So in general, we'll just talk about who we are, the process, some general requirements, design and the design review process, procurement, construction, and operation and maintenance. About us, PB, as I said, we've been working with the Natural Gas Authority for the past 12 years, all the way from the time where we built an offshore pipeline connecting to the platform, building the transmission system in Israel, gassing up all the power stations of IEC, Israel Electric Company, and now moving on to the distribution area. We are part of the Balfour Beatty Group, which is a large contractor, about 60,000 people, over 10 billion pounds revenue. The group has a construction group, a professional services and investment group where they have capital and invest in infrastructure platform, and support services. We were bought over by this group about 3 years ago, and PB has about 15,000 professionals, over $2 billion revenue, and we are really providing the professional services for the whole group. Here in Israel, this is in general the markets for PB. Here in Israel, we really concentrated on the power industry and utilities and some of the major rail program here in Israel. Let's talk about the Natural Gas Authority and the process actually that is taking place here. We have, over the years, we have developed some directive, what we call directive, and this is not really a directive in the sense of the European directives. This is really a guideline documents to assist an owner, a designer, a contractor to understand the different phases in the process to get a design review, a design approval, and a natural gas gassing up approval. So there is a directive for the offshore pipeline, for the onshore transmission, which is high pressure, which is primarily geared towards INGL, IGID for the industrial section, and I will concentrate a bit on this since I was told this is primarily the focus of this afternoon. DSD for the distribution companies, and we recently developed some guidance for the operation, and some specific issues of AC-induced corrosions, etc. Really, some other specific one which I did not address, but they are very specific to the market. I'll concentrate a bit on the IGID, which is the industrial one, tiny bit, but really the concept is very similar to all of them. Some general requirements, as I said, the general objective of these guidelines and directives is actually to provide guidelines to the different parties which are involved in order to assist them and get them the necessary permits and approval. The scope of the directives, depending where you are, whether you are offshore pipeline or you are a transmission company, distribution company, you select the guidelines and directive and pay attention to the scope which is defined in the beginning of the document and see that it applies to you. These directives do not come to replace any other statutorical permits that you may have, either that a TAMA or a TABA. This you will have to comply differently with the different authorities, be that Ministry of Interior or the local municipality or the regional county. Standards. Okay, we've heard a lot of American standard here, some Australians, some Europeans, and really the objective of the Natural Gas Authority was actually to allow both the European and the American standards to have their own place in the market. So many of these directives actually allow you to use both American standards and European standards. However, do not cherry pick your standard. If you are going to American standards, stick with this system. Yeah, make sure your supplier can actually manufacture towards the standards. And if you are going to European standards, please make sure the whole system is actually consistent. These directives are applicable to the design, to the fabrication, construction, operation, and maintenance phase of the project. So in all time, the owner is actually responsible to adhere to comply to these directives in all the phases of the contract, of the project. The NGA objective is to approve the design and the gas installation as quickly as possible while assuring the safety and integrity of the system. Okay? Some people think that, we provide the comments or there is take some time. We do not enjoy it. We want it as quickly as possible out in the market, and we want your facilities to be gas up as quickly as possible. We're not getting, we've heard comments, we're getting paid by the comments or anything like that. We are not. Actually, the longer it stays with us, the worse for us. So we want it out in the market as quickly as you are. So help us to help you to get it done quickly. So in general, we have 3 phases. We have the design, at the end of the design phase, the Natural Gas Authority. And here in Israel, the Natural Gas Authority, they have a safety officer, probably different than in other countries. And this safety officer is by law required to approve the plans, of these facilities. At the end of this phase, he will actually issue an approval, and with this approval, you can go out to your statutory committee and get your approval. At the end of the construction phase, you get a temporary gassing up approval, and after 90 days of a successful operation, you get the final approval. Some tips about the design. I know we are short on time, but I will just give some tips about this process. Yeah, this process takes time, so start early. Yeah, many times we have, say, an EPC contractor building a power station is already late, is submitting the plans on the last minute. Everything is geared up toward the gassing up of the system. Already 2 months behind. Plan ahead. The natural gas system can be done early in the game. The design can be done early in the game. Start early. You can never know what kind of problems the authority will come up. Start early. Select your designer carefully. Okay, there are very, very good designers in Israel. Investigate the market, research. They're going to accompany you through this design process. Select them carefully. Investigate. How long did it take them to get an approval? Investigate other owners. Select the code design. Select the design codes very carefully. Okay, many mistakes have been through this process by the wrong selection of the codes. Some people, it's confusing. American codes, I can select that, I can select that. I already manufactured my equipment according to that. Well, they come to site, they're not to the right code. What is the design code? Just give it a very, very good thought. I'm giving these tips because I've seen it through our experience where we had problems, where other people had problems in the past. Define the system scope of work. Yeah, when you do submit to the Natural Gas Authority, look at the directives, see what the scope requirements, and submit your design accordingly. When the designer does provide their engineering drawings, avoid design rejection. Yeah, do your QA, QC before it comes to the Natural Gas Authority. Do not let the Natural Gas Authority reject your design because of pure quality. You lose a lot of time and you lose a lot of credits. Through the beginning of the year, there is some misconcept a bit about the Natural Gas Authority that they have to approve the design. So at the beginning, at the early stage, some, but not all, some of the designers actually provided the design to the Natural Gas Authority thinking they are actually going to review this and check them. This is not the purpose. This is not the role of the Natural Gas Authority. The role of the Natural Gas Authority is actually provide you the approval, the necessary permits, but they have to make sure that the system is in good integrity, has a good integrity. And for that, they will do some checks, but they are not the reviewer of the system. Yeah? When you have in your design prepared by, checked by, and approved by, please take this process seriously. Yeah? The Natural Gas Authority is not part of any of this process. Complete them before you get to the Natural Gas Authority. Unfortunately, at the beginning of the days, this did not take place, so we actually enforce another layer of independent design review before it comes to the Natural Gas Authority, and hopefully this will improve the system. We do see that it does improve the system. Nevertheless, we do require you to verify, with your design firm that the proper QA and QC process is actually taking place. If you are going actually to an EPC project, we've heard a couple lectures earlier, and they say, well, let me do it. I will design, I will procure everything, I will construct for you. You don't have to do anything. Well, actually, from our experience, this is not completely true. Yeah, get someone on your side who understands the natural gas. Yeah, have an owner's engineer who will actually accompany you through this process. And that doesn't mean you don't trust the EPC, but the EPC has their own glasses when they look at the project, yeah? And you have some different glasses. So you have to have someone who will accompany you and keep your interest in this project, okay? This is particularly to developers who really do not understand the technical issues behind the natural gas, and really this is not their role. They would understand in, I don't know, sugar manufacturing, yes, but not in natural gas. So get someone on your side who can understand this and will accompany you. The last one is complete the statutory process. This also takes time. This is with the Ministry of Interiors and also with the Natural Gas Authority. There are different departments who deal with the land use and all these permits and get this parallel. Some more specific about the design, some problems that we have seen in the past. When you select your designers, just make sure that they're not doing it on the top of the desk in Tel Aviv. Actually, if you're doing a HAZOP, get it very project specific. If you're doing a risk analysis, make sure that they understand your plant, that they actually went down there and conduct the process with all the other disciplines. Submit a code compliance stress analysis. We had a lot of problems with these issues, and we are hopefully seeing the light at the end of the tunnels there. But I understand that some designers actually feed the system. This is my pipeline, this is my scope of work, and I'm going to design the stress analysis. But the pipeline really itself physically doesn't care what is your scope of work. The actually physical presence of the pipeline is actually dictate the stresses there. So actually make sure that you communicate with the upstream provider, with the downstream provider to assure a good model for your system that actually represent the physical condition on site and not your scope of work, okay? Conduct a location-specific geotechnical report. Oh yeah, I want to save it. I've done some project in the past here nearby. Oh, just get it done, that's fine, let's save. Just get a proper geotechnical report. Many problems happen. There are many technical issues related to the geotechnical conditions. Get your fire department approval. Get your gas detectors, fire detectors, smoke detectors, whatever you have there, get them right, present it properly, see that they are covering the whole area, and show it present it in the design. A seismic assessment, there is a new law issued by a government that every design should have their own chapter on seismic issue. So make sure this happens. Some other lecturers here presented the issue of HDD. This is quite fashionable here in Israel, which is fine. You can avoid and cross other utilities fairly easy, but get the design proper. Get the design properly introduced in the design phase, and do not let your contractors do that. Provide the contractor with the specific parameters that you need. Show the design reviewers that actually you thought about that one, and it's just not a shortcut in the process. Pressure test plant. We have a lot of issues with that. I know it is easier to just get a pneumatic test out in the system, test it. It's easy, it's fast, but it's also dangerous. And the Natural Gas Authority do not like that. So while we cannot enforce you not to do it, the codes do not enforce you, but then most of the codes do not recommend carrying out a pneumatic test pressures on a high pressure. So avoid that. Also, I have 3 minutes, so I have to zoom really, really quick. Design a system with a minimum golden welds. We don't like it. We like to minimize that. I know it's easier for the contractors to have 20 golden welds, but we don't like non-tested welds in our system. Constructions, again, contractors, check their records, see what they went through. Has their construction procedures proper? Do they cover all the phases of the constructions? What kind of comments that they got previously from the Natural Gas Authority? What kind of incidents that they have? Please investigate before you contract with them. Make sure, and this is, if it is an EPC, this is probably the owner's engineer role. He will actually review everything before it is being submitted to the Natural Gas Authority, see that all the construction activities are actually covered in this process, see that actually there is a clear organizational chart showing who are the players in this in your project, so the Natural Gas Authority can actually understand the parties here. ITP, inspection test plan, very important document. We expect to see the role and the responsibilities of each parties in this area. More in the construction area. As-built documentation, we expect to see them before the natural gas. Again, we are not reviewing them, but make sure they are auditable. Make sure that someone who sits in the desk actually can read them and can understand what you have done. So we recommend you start them early in the game and do not finish the project and start from the beginning, as they were the case in many other incidents. Inform NGA of major design changes. I mean, we are not interested to see very minor changes, but if you are actually doing something, that will change completely your PNID, we would like to see this. We would like to hear about major and non-conformance report. We would like to see we would like to be notified on the pressure test days. We may send someone to witness this or to look at that. And when sometimes the NGA comes once or twice during the lifetime of the project and do provide comments, please close them as soon as possible, so do not leave them to the end. We do not accept any code deviation, period. So do not go this route. We've been in many projects when this was very, very painful, but we do not accept code deviation. If you want a code deviation, go to the code committee and apply and get a code deviation. But the Natural Gas Authority will not accept any code deviation. Request for gassing up. I'll not go through this because we are on shorter time, but it's very simple. We attempted to make this very, very simple, and actually there are some factories and power plants which actually have done it very quickly and by themselves actually, and got a request for gassing up approved on the first round. So chapeau to them, and this is just to prove that we are trying to make it simple. Before you do the request for gassing up, make sure that all the previous comments in the design, the estimate, the request for gassing up, the O&M procedures are all closed up. We'll not go through that. I'm running out of time, but some operations, as I said, there are some guidelines on operation, what kind of procedures we expect you to do in the company level, non-routine operations, procedures. We expect you to develop that. To see that, the Natural Gas Authority will do a spot check to check those things, incidents, to see that you're actually maintaining the system properly. So please take this seriously. I think I'm done. I hope that was some good hints help us to help you to get the process done quickly and efficiently. Thank you very much.